Clap your hands, everybody, clap your hands, come on. This little light, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.
Hello and welcome to the Elite Network. I'm Minnie Foxx, and I thank you for joining us here today with our subject, Past, Present, and Future. Now, what is that, you say? Well, it's from our category of religion, and I'm so excited today to introduce to you two past, present, and future leaders of the communities all around Los Angeles, California, and Orange County, California. Today, in the world of A&E Ministries and USC School of Religion, also Orange County's famous church, Christ Our Redeemer. Now I'm going to go back and say AME Ministries, and I'm sure you know what all that's about, because the greatest leader of Los Angeles, California, leading all of us to Christ, has been none other than the Dr. Pastor CECIL Chip Murray and his leader of the future,
Thank you.
Pastor Mark Whitlock.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both for coming on our show today. And I'm going to stumble pretty much, see there I go. I'm going to stumble pretty much all through my show. One, because I've known both of you pretty much most of my life. That's 20 years plus. And to have the two of you sitting in front of me and to be able to share with our community the wonderful things that you have done in the communities and in my life is a true blessing. So I'm going to say thank God for this.
Thank you, Minnie.
Pastor Murray, I wanted to
Yes.
start with you.
Yes.
Just you being a light that has shined in our community for so many, many years. Not only are you the past, the present, and the future for our young people, our women, and our men in all different religions, all different nationalities. You've been able to embrace people, change lives, and make way for the future. Could you tell me a little bit of how you got started and what makes you Pastor CECIL Chip Murray?
Oh, my goodness, Minnie, I think if there's anything positive, it's from God. If there's anything that I would do differently, I would talk with my master and ask, what would you have me change? Because I think as ministers, we are called beyond ourselves. We are called out of ourselves. We are called to serve others, many of whom cannot help themselves. So I take no credit for anything good. I'll take all the credit for the bad. But God calls us to help others.
And that is what you've done pretty much all your life. If there was just one thing that someone could do to help you, what would it be?
To help me, Lord have mercy. Minnie, it's not about me. I need nothing. For if I have the Lord, I have everything I need. I thank my wife, my son, my sister, my brother, his family, and all. I thank the church that took care of our family for 27 years here in Los Angeles. I thank my God from the day I cried in this world up to this present moment. What do I need? Just more God. More God.
I have a little blast for the past for you.
Yes.
Can we see this?
Yes. Yes.
This is one of the programs from First AME Church, and it just shows the front of the church. And this was a day that at Fame Renaissance, where you had a lot of community meetings and action in the community there, they did an event that you couldn't attend because you were, of course, somewhere leading other people to the Lord. And I was so honored to introduce you and speak on your behalf. And just briefly, I said, our pastoral leader could not join us tonight Because of a prior engagement, the Reverend Cecil Chip Murray is a man of God sent to the BMAs to help conceive this entire program. He gave us this idea of the Walk of Fame for the museum. And also, Pastor Whitlock, you were a great part of that event as well.
Yes.
And moving into that, how did you get Fame Renaissance started?
I was pulled up out of the gutter by Cecil Murray, working in the corporate world, literally not knowing which way I wanted to go, back or forth. It was Pastor Murray who said, "Son, there's a brighter day for you. I can tell God's hand is on your heart." And I had been called, but I had been running from God because I just wasn't finished sinning, to be honest with you. and as I drew closer to God, God revealed to me that there's leadership. And the leadership that I recognized in Cecil Murray indeed changed my life. Commitment to go into ministry full-time under the leadership of Reverend Cecil Murray was nothing but a blessing. I take no credit for anything that I've done, but I take a lot of time to thank God that he placed Cecil Murray in my life and that I've had an opportunity to work close with him for the last 20 years.
Minnie, actually, he wasn't called, he was sent.
He was sent.
Mark Whitlock and his wife, Mia, and the two sons were sent to us by God because we were at the stage in the church's development where we said we must develop economically. We must help people find jobs. We must help people find transportation. We must help new businesses to start up. We must find something of a venture capital fund whereby the millions we can empower through millions of dollars if we can locate it. And we need a certain leader. He comes into the office from the world of corporate America and sits and talks and says he's willing to go. I said, "Mark, please talk to the wife, the family, and then come back in a couple of weeks and let's see if you want to do it, because right now we're starting with zero, nothing." He doesn't come back in 2 weeks. He comes back the next day, says, "I'm ready." And from there, God led us to the top.
Major promotion for me. It was, you and I had an opportunity to work together at Chicago Title at the time. And I tell you, it was a wonderful job working in corporate America, but wasn't fulfilling. It was nothing in comparison to what has happened, not only to my life, but the many lives that I've had an opportunity to touch and who have improved my life ever since. Looking back, I'm just pleased that he put his hand on me and God continued to hold me in his hands.
Okay. Well, that's a point that I wanted to make in the, when you brought up the corporate world. As a young person in my early 20s, struggling to figure out what could I do on the other side of the camera, because I moved here for the entertainment world.
Yes.
I needed to go into some other things.
Yes.
So I ventured over into the corporate world and became a front office receptionist for Chicago Title, in which started our relationship and our friendship. Mark would never return phone calls. I had a stack of, "Mark, here, you got messages. Mark, Mr. Whitlock, Mr. Whitlock." You know, so we always had that lovingly joke between us. That same year is when I found you. And a friend of mine brought me over to First AME. I had been to several churches in Los Angeles, hadn't been here for a few years at that time, but I couldn't find home. And home for me was the Baptist church, where you got to hug the pastor and you got to, you know, talk to the congregation and sing in the choir. And I came to the church and I sat there and I saw you. And all I could see was this big, bright smile and these shiny eyes. And you had this glow around you. And everyone was just drawn to you as I was. And I would sit there Sunday after Sunday, if I could just touch them. And one Sunday, I was able to make it through that line, make it through that long line of committed members and visitors that just wanted to reach out and touch you.
And you have been a blessing from that touch. You and your precious son are saints of care. You reach out beyond your heart to others. You have every reason to be spoiled. You are unspoiled. You could say, I am elite, but instead you reach out to the homeless, the helpless, the children who've lost their parents, those who are coming out of prison. You care very deeply, and you have passed that legacy on to your son. He will be in the limelight all of his life, but the light will be in him more than on him.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to try really hard to get through this interview without watering up and tearing and everything, but you must know this is a very special interview for me to do this. And I don't want to call it an interview. I want to call it an opportunity, again, to share with the community what you have done, not only for me, but for everyone that you touch, whether a person actually came to the church or not, just seeing you in a grocery store, seeing you walk down the street, and to hear your voice. I would leave church and your voice would still radiate, and it would be all over me. And people could not believe it when I say, you got to go to First AME. You have to hear Pastor Cecil Chip Murray speak. And I don't care if you were up in the balcony or standing out in the hallway. When you approached the microphone, the world stood still.
I tell you, it is a little bit embarrassing because I remember that day I was in the restroom, and outside 2 women were talking. They didn't know anyone was there within listening distance, and one of them said, Reverend Murray is such a humble man. And the other one said, yeah, he got a lot to be humble about. I couldn't come out while they were out there, of course, but I had a good laugh because they really told the truth. We preachers are a dime a dozen, but if we can serve and do serve, then God can use us.
And God is certainly using you. He has used you in many facets and areas of the Los Angeles community and abroad. Your name is internationally known. Your work is internationally known. And you are a hard act to follow. However, I looked up one day and saw Mark sitting in the pulpit. And I'm like, is that Mark Whitlock? Hadn't seen him in a few years. And I'm, okay, no more Chicago title. He's in First AME. So I, too, echo your thoughts and comments about Brother Mark, because I have experienced his wonderful graciousness. And I do graciously remember when I left Chicago Title and went on tour, Mark threw a party for me at the office. And everyone put together and donated this roller bag for me to put all of my belongings in. And I kept that bag until it had holes in it and it fell apart because of where it had come from. Now, you blessed Mark with the opportunity of leadership after the Lord placed on him that was going to be his calling. You sealed the deal. And the next thing I knew, Mark was saying, Christ our Redeemer. I'm in Orange County.
And he started with a handful, perhaps 10, 15, 20, and grew to some 2,000, built a church. The people come. He has committed to serving the people and to putting the people first, and the best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come. And I just wanted to share with everyone, this is one of Mark's programs from the church in his humble beginnings. I saved it. I've taken time to go out to the church and support my brother. I've also, my son and I became members. One of them, that's a very special story, and I want to share that with you. We could not find a church that was home after you left AME. And we searched and we searched and we searched. And finally we stopped searching and we said, Pastor, you will always be our pastor. We will always call you. We carry you in our hearts, and that's where our church is going to be. And so we visit other people's churches. Mark said, I'm in Orange County. So we took the drive to Orange County to see what Brother Mark was doing. and my son and I became members, and we are so proud of the work that you are doing out there, because you are first AME of Orange County by way of Christ our Redeemer.
Check in with CECIL Mary every
So
week.
yes, so that is where you need to go if you got lost by the wayside.
Thank
Drive
you.
out to Orange County.
Thank you.
He was meant for Orange County, Los Angeles, Southern California, most diverse area in the whole nation, and Orange County is the most diverse city county in the whole world. The people from everywhere there, and Mark has an international, multicultural, multi-plural outreach, so he was sent.
He was sent, and he continues to spread the word with wonderful sermons and opportunities and ideas. He keeps Martin Luther King's faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. And that is powerful.
Thank you.
On that note, in just a moment, we're going to go to a break. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the young people.
Yes.
Some of the churches have changed a great deal, and there are new life churches where the kids can go to church in jeans and tennis shoes and dress what you might have partied in the night before. And for some reason, the churches are seeming to get away a little bit from what we envision as young people growing up, the proper way to go to church. Can you, Brother Mark, please share with us your outtake on that? I haven't seen that at your church. Everyone seems to respect the house and they dress appropriately. But when God says, come as you are, can you elaborate on what you feel he really meant?
And you must come as you are, and come with your challenges, your suffering, your pain. And God tends to look on the inside, not the outside. But the church must establish the moral standard. The church must establish what certainly the boundaries that a person kind of lives by. And sometimes those boundaries are blurred, aren't they?
Yes, they
particularly if the pastor is looking more at his paycheck than at the blessings for the community. If the church is looking more at the stained glass windows than lifting people up out of a quagmire of social degradation. So the church must not move past its membership and see the pain and moving them from pain, a place of pain, to a place of pleasure. And we do that through God's Word. We do that by teaching God's Word. On Sunday, we must certainly have wonderful music, but on Monday through Saturday, we must have programs that speak to the social, economic, and spiritual needs of that congregation. So yeah, we look at the outside, but we want to make sure we fix them from the inside out.
Especially the youngsters, they need the guidance. They are sheep, and the sheep is the most easily lost animal on the planet, and once it gets lost, it cannot find its way. We must shepherd them until they're able to shepherd themselves, and they will then shepherd others. So if they come in 21st century garb, we would rather them come that way than not to come at all. So we reach into their hearts, we reach into their souls, we reach into their minds. We try to give them an ethic of love rather than a street ethic. We try to say to them, don't drop out of school. 50% of blacks, 50% of Latinos don't finish high school. We try to say to them, your dad may be missing at home, but we're your surrogate parent. If we reach on the inside, the outside will pretty well take care of itself.
But before you can clean a fish, you got to catch it.
You gotta catch
And so you got to catch it. And so that's what we do. 60% of our congregation, 21 years and younger. And so the way we do that is certainly meet them where they are and then take them to where God would have them to be.
And again, that's Christ our Redeemer, mirror image of First AME Church. Now, I want to give you a blast from the past as we go into our break. And when we come back, we will have some comments from Pastor Mark Whitlock and Dr. CECIL Chip Murray on what they think of this next clip.
All right.
Morning of prayer. You What brought you here today?
Oh, to worship and to see the children.
Did you enjoy the service?
I loved it.
This is one of the nation's most prominent African-American congregations. And here Jackson found unconditional support on the eve of a crucial legal face-off.
What do we ask? Justice. Yes, Jesus. Equity. Yes. Healing. Yes. Amen.
Jackson allowed ABC News exclusive access.
And we're back. Thank you for tuning into the Elite Network with our past, present, and future subject today. And our special guests, Pastor CECIL Chip Murray and Pastor Mark Whitlock, are here with us sharing wonderful stories about religion, outreach, and the communities, the past, the present, and the future. Now, we just saw a clip of First AME in the midst of everything of what was going on with Michael Jackson. It was a very rare opportunity for you to open the doors and welcome Michael Jackson to your church when others closed their doors. Could you share with us that day that we just viewed?
It was a kairos moment, a moment of the vertical intrusion of God on the horizontal flow of time. Here's a young man who's one of the most gifted talents on earth, but who has fallen into ill repair, who is rejected, who is rebuked, who feels as if he has no value at all. As a last resort, he comes to the house of the Lord. What else could we offer except healing? What else could we offer except to say we are praying for you and we are praying with you and we reach out to you to embrace you? The court system must do what it will do, and that is as it should be. The spiritual system will support you regardless of what the court system will or will not do. So I think when people walk through the door of the church, they are walking through asking, is there any love? Is there anybody here who's here for me, even if I am not even here for myself?
Now, there was a point in time many years ago, taking you even further back, when you did the same thing for a person who was not a celebrity, but they were in need because the results of what happened to them tore our community down, which actually resulted in rebuilding the community. But when we had the Rodney King riots, you stepped up, you stepped out, your hand was out, the doors of the church was open, and you healed our community. Could you give us just a little of a flashback of how that felt for you going into that?
Well, the story unfolded one day at a time, and the church was just a joy. Most marvelous people around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for about 6 months. The lights are open day and night, volunteers coming in, helping with food, the corporate world bringing in food and clothing, others opening up for shelter, and it was just a time where we could say what we are with our actions. Here is a time of trouble, and we are troubleshooters, not troublemakers. Let's get it on.
Okay. Well, we're winding down, so I want to make sure I get everything in before they wrap me here. This is a gift from my son and myself to both you and Pastor Mark. He sent a photo to you on the back. And this is to symbolize, if you will, the wonderful things that you have done in not only the African American communities, but all communities abroad, because your power, past, present, and future, has brought together the communities of all nationalities and people. Pastor Mark, you are taking his legacy and you have developed it into Orange County. And so now that torch has been passed to you, and you are being our present and our future. and you're still fueled and fired by the past and present and future that Pastor Murray has so wonderfully laid out for everyone. And I'm so grateful to sit here and say to you today that I am honored that it is someone that I knew, that it is someone that I am close to, that has been able to take Pastor Murray's legacy, because it is personal, because he is so wonderful. And I always saw the glow and the smile and your happiness. And many times when I've come to the church, whether I was feeling low or I was riding high in the pulpit with you, delivering my sermon by your grace to the congregation, it was still by your hand that I was able to do that. It was still by your hand that I was
Minnie,
healed.
may we simply say, by way of saying thanks, please tell Norville he did a good job raising his mother.
Thank you.
But we almost also better say this: you have touched us. The ministry of First AME Church was permanently improved by your ministry to women in prison, women who have been abused sexually, mentally, psychologically. You inspire so many. When you walk into First, as you have walked into Christ our Redeemer, you are a symbol of what God has done and is doing to improve the lives of women throughout this country. You're a beautiful mother, actress, model. Oh my God, God has touched you, and because God has touched you, you have touched so many. We're honored to be here. We understand that this may be your last show here, but we know that you got a future at ABC, NBC, CBS, or whoever. So we thank you.
You hear that?
We thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and you won't get your hanky back because it'll be wet in a few
That's
minutes.
all right.
But I wanted to try and get Barack Obama in really quickly on how he has taken over. He is a light. He is a future. He's hope. He's faith for many people, and he is a pattern of peace.
Yes.
He's inspired young people. There's books written about his life. There are many books that have come out about him. And Pastor Murray, I want to close by asking you, that day when they said that Barack Obama was the President of the United States of America, how did that feel to you? Because without some of the works that you have done, paving the way for him to walk down, as Dr. Martin Luther King and many before him have given him the opportunity to be who he is.
What I could summarize is by saying, son, do you see that? That can be you. You're going to finish school. You're going to go on to college. You're going to go on to postgraduate. You're going to start your career. You're going to start your family, and you're going to love them. You're going to reach out, and everybody will be lifted by you, even as you have been lifted by him. If he can do it,
You can do it.
You can do it. And we thank you for joining us today with our special guest, Dr. CECIL Chip Murray of AME Ministries and USC School of Religion. We didn't mention that, but honey, if you want to be all in the mix of the world of the glory of God, go to USC College and see Pastor CECIL Chip Murray. Go out to Orange County and see Dr. Oh, and I'm mixing you all up. See, you guys got me nervous. Go see Pastor Mark Whitlock in Orange County, because he is now being the past, the present, and the future. We thank you for joining us.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.